She wasn't just a queen, she was a living deity. This isn't just luxury, it's strategy. There was Cleopatra, the seventh queen of Egypt, master of image, and arguably history's first influencer. She made herself impossible to ignore.
The time has come for a new era to dawn upon our kingdom.
Picture this, a golden barge gliding down the Nile, its sails soaked in purple dye, the color of royalty. The air smells of incense and perfume. Musicians play as servants scatter flower petals across the water. At the center of it all stands Cleopatra, radiant, poised, and perfectly aware that every eye is on her. This isn't just luxury, it's strategy. Because long before Instagram, before movie stars and marketing gurus, there was Cleopatra, the seventh queen of Egypt, master of image, and arguably history's first influencer. Cleopatra wasn't born into easy power. When she took the throne in 51 BCE, Egypt was in a precarious position, torn by bitter family rivalries and overshadowed by the ever-growing power of Rome. Just to survive, Cleopatra had to be more than a monarch. She had to become a brand. She understood something truly revolutionary for her time, that perception is power. If you can control what people see and believe about you, you can shape your own destiny, even when the odds are stacked against you. She knew that to hold on to her kingdom, she needed to build an image so powerful it couldn't be ignored, an image that would resonate not just in Egypt, but all the way to the heart of Rome. Cleopatra might not have been the most militarily powerful ruler of her time, but she was one of the most visually powerful. She used fashion, ceremony, and pure performance to build an identity that transcended politics. She often appeared dressed as Isis, the Egyptian goddess of motherhood and magic. This wasn't just a costume, it was a statement. She wasn't just a queen, she was a living deity. Coins minted during her reign showed her wearing royal diadems, alongside traditional Egyptian symbols, skillfully merging her Greek heritage with Egyptian divinity. Every public appearance, every portrait, every coin was a deliberate piece of branding, a visual message that screamed, "I am Egypt, I am divine." She was crafting an aura of authority that no army could easily dismantle. Then came one of the most dramatic public relations moves in ancient history. In 48 BCE, Cleopatra needed to meet the most powerful man in the world, Julius Caesar. But she wasn't going to arrange a stuffy diplomatic meeting. According to legend, she had herself smuggled into Caesar's private quarters, rolled up in a rug. Imagine the scene. The rug is unfurled, and out she tumbles, right at his feet. It sounds theatrical, and that's exactly the point. This was Cleopatra's version of creating viral content. Word of her bold, unforgettable entrance spread like wildfire through Alexandria and Rome. It instantly transformed her from a distant regional ruler into an international sensation. She made herself impossible to ignore, turning the dry world of diplomacy into high-stakes theater. After aligning with Caesar, Cleopatra ensured her image reached far beyond Egypt's borders. She presented herself not as a foreign queen to be conquered, but as a sophisticated partner in Rome's destiny, a cosmopolitan figure who could navigate multiple cultures, languages, and traditions with ease. When Caesar was assassinated, Cleopatra didn't fade into the background. She adapted. Enter Mark Antony, Rome's next powerful general and Cleopatra's next big opportunity. Their relationship was a masterclass in performance. It was political, it was personal, and it was deeply public. Together, they staged extravagant feasts, dressed as gods, and presented themselves as Dionysus and Isis reborn. They weren't just a power couple, they were living symbols of power, wealth, and abundance. To her supporters, Cleopatra wasn't just a ruler, she was a story come to life, a living myth. One of Cleopatra's most legendary acts of showmanship was her arrival in Tarsus to meet Mark Antony. Ancient writers describe her sailing up the river on a magnificent barge with golden oars, silver prows, and those famous purple sails. She reclined under a canopy of gold, surrounded by attendants dressed as cupids. People flocked to the shore, utterly convinced that the goddess Aphrodite herself had arrived. Cleopatra knew exactly what she was doing. This wasn't just an entrance, it was a carefully staged brand reveal. It was luxury used as propaganda, a spectacle designed to assert her power without a single soldier. Antony was captivated not just by her, but by the extraordinary story she had built around herself. Cleopatra mastered what every modern influencer knows. Your story is often more important than the facts. Later, her Roman enemies would paint her as a devious seductress and dangerous manipulator, but in a way, that was proof of how effective her image had been. They feared her influence precisely because she could command loyalty not just with armies, but with her aura, her brand. Even her death, that iconic tragic scene with the asp, became the final unforgettable chapter of her myth. Whether or not it happened exactly that way doesn't really matter. It cemented her image for all time, the proud, beautiful queen who chose her own fate rather than submit to her enemies. She controlled her own narrative right to the very end. More than 2,000 years later, Cleopatra remains one of history's most recognizable figures. Artists, writers, filmmakers, and even advertisers reinvent her constantly, which is the ultimate proof that her brand endures. She turned politics into performance art. She understood that aesthetics could be a form of power, and she wielded storytelling, charisma, and stunning visual imagery with the same skill modern influencers use Instagram filters and TikTok trends. In an age long before cameras or the internet, she created an image so powerful that it made her impossible to forget. So the next time you see a perfectly curated photo, a dramatic product reveal, or a carefully constructed persona online, remember Cleopatra. Because long before hashtags and followers, one queen on the Nile showed the world that image can be everything. Cleopatra didn't just rule Egypt, she ruled perception. And that, more than anything, is what made her history's first influencer. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from history. See you next time.